Hey guys, welcome back. Quick update on progress of the 69 Camaro. We got engines complete, engines now mounted in the chassis. Still have to run drive shaft, but that'll be towards the end of things. I've got the rear end assembled and the ride height where I want it. It's assembled, but the rear end and leaf springs and differential are just done as an assembly. They're just sitting there. Because I just finished running the exhaust out the back. I still have to figure out whether I'm going to run exhaust straight out the back or angle the tips down, but that'll be towards the end to see how this all comes together and how it looks towards the end. Wheels came together good. Got some disc brakes behind them, some calipers. See if I can pick this up without the rear end falling out of it. Motor went in pretty good. One tip when I was building this is that what I did was the upper control arms on both sides I glued in last. I found it just a pain in the butt trying to get the engine in place with the headers on. So what I did was I installed the motor first, and while the glue was still fairly tacky and not quite dry, I slid the headers in from the bottom side and just held everything in place basically with about 4 fingers. Hold the exhaust up against the heads and hold the engine in place. I found that a lot easier than trying to glue the headers on and install a motor with headers in one piece just to get around the subframe and around the upper control arm. So did the motor, headers at the same time up through the bottom, and then after that was all set, I used tweezers and installed the upper control arms. Other than that, it's so far so good. It's actually a nice kit to build. As I say, we just finished doing exhaust on the bottom of it. I ran solder from the headers back, had a couple of mufflers in my stash, and ran the exhaust up, down over the up and over the rear end and out between the leaf springs and the frame. And I did have to relocate the inner back end of the spring real tight up against the gas tank to give me clearance on the tires. Front mount is still stock, but we had to relocate the rear leaf spring mount. So we just have to figure out, of course, how I'm going to exit exhaust on this thing when we get to that stage, but so far she's pretty good, guys. The other thing we got finished is interior. This camera so it stays focused and not move it around. Come on, baby. Alright, interior's done. All assembled. We went with a Model Air. What color was this? This was a sand ivory for the seat inlays and door panel inlays. Got my seat belts in there. Did my embossing powder on the carpet again. Turned out good, and managed to brush it around the shifter. And when I mentioned in my doing embossing powder video that if you keep the glue fairly thick, you can follow a pretty tight line. So interior turned out pretty good, and it's ready to go. What else do we got? Everything else is kind of in stages of pre-assembly. One thing I am concerned about is whether I'm going to have room for this dual snorkel air filter. We might run into a hood clearance problem. So backup plan, I still want to use that on this motor, but backup plan will be one of my wire mesh air cleaners that I make. And hopefully don't have to do that. I want to stick with the black one. Rad support's done, firewall's done, still have to run my brake lines. Brake lines down the from the master. Highlighted all the wiring on the firewall, and everything else is kind of coming together. Everything's kind of in pre-assembled stages. Just finished about an hour ago. Got the body, has been primed a few days ago. And am I going to zoom the right way? Oh, I am too. Look at this. Body's, hang on a sec. Sit. Body's got its silver base coat on it, so probably by the weekend I'll get a few coats of red on it. It's been a good kit to build so far. I'm actually quite pleased with it. I haven't done a Revell kit for quite a while. I'll have to keep an eye on their stuff. I'm kind of an AMT guy for a long time. But I like this kit. So far it's been easy to assemble, and even, you know, including some of the slight mods we've made with it. And oh yeah, when we went to do a little tubbing on it, I found that I didn't have to move that seat at all. That when I cut out the portion of the rear wheel wells on this car, oh, there goes the diff. I was concerned about whether or not I'd have to move that rear partial shelf forward and move the front seat forward about, oh God, about a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch. But we didn't have to do that. We got our little cutouts in here for that material we had to take out. But the interior still fits it good. So far so good, guys. As I say, the next thing is going to be body paint and get that done. Wheels turned out good. We got the deep dish look that we want to it. That's good. I'm happy with it so far. Anyway, guys, we'll get some paint on this baby and start putting it together, and hopefully next video is the grand finale. Anyway, guys, thanks for staying tuned, and we'll see you next time. See ya.